in a marriage, you need two people that are adept, two people that can function very well. So this means before you get married, you need to make sure that you're up and running so you're going to be a good partner one day. Because life is complicated. I mean, managing a household and kids and your partner and your job, your profession. I mean, you need two people that know how to manage life. So you need to be prepared. But this is common.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Coffee Breakup. Sorry, my friend Sean.
Christian Vieira.
That's me, the best ever. So, if you're watching us, thank you so much. You would be on Patreon. If you're listening to us, thank you so much, Spotify, iTunes listeners. What else we got? We have social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter.
We got the website, thecoffeebreakup.com. There's a lot of changes, new designs, new things. Very exciting.
A lot of things coming out.
I'm excited for that.
YouTube also. We do have clips on YouTube. Stay tuned. I highly recommend everybody subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mean, it helps us, but more so you can really see what's changing because we are going to be implementing a lot of new things. We're going to have a lot more Throwback Thursdays, a lot of videos that used to be super old that we want to kind of bring back to the audience, so kind of like revamp everybody. But we also have a lot of other projects, so subscribe there and check out our website. There's going to be a lot of goodies over there.
Yeah.
Other than that,
we jump right in.
I'm
very excited. We're joined by Dr. Justin Dorenzo. How are you?
Dr.
Did I get
D.
that right?
You got
Dr.
it right.
D.
Yeah.
You have no idea. He's terrible with pronunciations. In fact, before he showed up, I'm like, what's his last name?
Yeah.
How do you say it? And he's like,
No, because I was watching a video where you introduced yourself on TikTok, and it's Dorenzo, because the A is, I guess, is silent,
No,
or
it's-
you don't really...
I mean, it's
like a D
it's been Americanized. I mean, it's Italian.
That's what I'm saying.
It should be Dorenzo.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was
But
gonna say it like that, because I'm from Germany. It will be Arianzo.
what would it be?
Arianzo.
Arianzo.
And then I was like, this is not an American name. This sounds Italian. And so, but I like that. So your background is, you have Italian heritage?
Lots of things. So
Yeah.
Italian, French, Canadian.
I see it.
German,
I see it all.
Yeah, mix.
A little
Nice
bit of a
mix.
Gordon
little
Ramsay.
Greek. Yeah, I've been before.
What is it? Gordon Ramsay
before.
and Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was watching it, and you're like, I'm like, if Gordon Ramsay and Dr. Phil had a baby, I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Like literally, yes.
I mean, because they can do that now.
Yeah.
You can do that now.
Somebody in the somebody in the comments of one of your videos was like, "Oh, Gordon Ramsay switched careers,"
Oh, my
and I'm like, "Yeah, that kind of seems right."
Yeah.
So I'm excited, and I know I've reached out to you, or we've reached out for like a while ago.
Yes.
But obviously, you don't live in Miami currently, and so kind of making this happen has taken a little bit of a time. But then you had reached out again. It's like, hey, I'm going to be in Miami, so and so. Can we make this happen? And I was like, let's do it, because obviously,
exciting.
yeah, because we focus on relationships and dating and stuff like that. But we like to bring on professionals and doctors and nurses. We've had on psychologists, and I think it's really important for people to kind of try to better themselves. And a lot of it, in fact, everything starts with yourself. So when you had reached out again, I was like, let's make this happen. Let's get you on. Let's get your insight, your professionalism, and your skill set. So I'm very grateful for you to be here, and maybe introduce yourself, give people a little bit of a background, who you are, what you do. Exactly.
Yeah, you guys, thank you, first of all, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris and Marvin, thank you very much for having me. You guys have
Appreciate that.
quite a following, so
Try.
it's an honor to be part of this
Nonsense.
today.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. So I am a clinical and forensic psychologist.
Okay.
So, and I got my psychologist training down here in South Florida at Nova Southeastern University. So I had a great time.
Yeah.
And then joined the Navy and became a active duty Navy psychologist for a while. And then I set up a private practice in Jacksonville, Florida.
Wow.
And I really specialize in 4 areas. So
Okay.
so the clinical work, so treating people for mental health disorders and doing couples therapy and things like that. Like I focus a lot on relationships, but I also am a court-related expert. I'm a forensic psychologist too.
Okay.
And then also a business psychologist. So I do a lot of consulting and do employee evaluation and testing and things like that, trying to find the right people for the right jobs based on psychological profiles. And then we sell a bunch of online courses too.
Okay.
So,
Fascinating.
and now I've been working on the social media thing. And first of all, it was, for fun. And now it's like become an integral part of the business.
Absolutely.
I love that. It's
That's a
beautiful.
lot of fun.
How did you get into psychology? How did you get into
why
this field?
psychology? Why did you choose that field?
Wow. So
Take us back.
you know, you guys, I mean, I got to tell you that when I was a kid, I was a major troublemaker. Okay. And I went to lots of psychologists growing up.
Really?
And I would think, you know, and a couple of them really helped me significantly. And I thought, man, I want to be like that guy one day.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is
So,
You know, it's funny because when I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I took a completely different route, but I remember when I first had some sort of passion for what I wanted to do was physical therapy.
okay. Yeah.
It's because I had torn my bicep, and they were helping me kind of get back, and I just loved, you know, kind of being there and the science behind it and how they were taking care. And I started feeling better. I'm like, man, this is actually
it works.
It works. Right? Yeah, this is a real thing. And I'm like, man, I would love to follow this path. So it's kind of like that, where you felt like the impact, and you're like, man, I would love to give this back to someone else and kind of explore into it. That's awesome.
That's kind of how it
how it works. So you were a troublemaker when you were younger, and then
I mean, you guys, I have kind of a sordid story. So I mean, even when I was 20, I went to rehab. When I was 20, I lived in a halfway house. I was a construction work. I dropped out of college and everything. I mean, on my way, you know, to like kind of getting it together. So back when I was 20. And but I ended up going back to college at 22 and finished my undergrad, and then went off and got my master's and doctorate at Nova and became a psychologist. But all those hardships certainly developed me into being a better psychologist, right, and a better human being too.
how did you find your way back? And not to get off too much, but like, was there something that happened to you that where you felt like 'cause a lot of people wouldn't have finished and done what you did.
Yeah,
Right?
they would have just kind of left it and never gone back to it.
Yeah. I mean, I was just so addicted to alcohol. I mean, I knew I could just feel that I was. And I went to Furman University. It's in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a good college there. And my sophomore year of college, I probably was in class like 5 days for the whole year. Other than that, I was drinking every day. So.
Wow.
You know, I knew that I had a major alcohol problem at a very young age, but you know, it's in my bloodline. But you know, it's just part of my. I mean, I know about your guys' backgrounds. You guys are both very driven people, right?
Yeah,
and it's part of, you know, it's when you have that burning inside of you. You got to know what the right thing to do is, and you fix things, right?
Wow.
If I may, and if you're comfortable, and the reason why is because that's kind of a very close topic to me. Was there something that you felt like probably led you down the path of drinking a lot, or? You
know, I mean, I think that I had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of anxiety as a kid, and you know, you guys, I used to stutter. I was like this horrible stutterer too, growing up. And I think that I found alcohol too that helped. You know, if I was drinking, I didn't stutter because I was comfortable. So it kind of became my medicine. And but then it really developed into, you know, more of an addiction.
And then what was the switch that you said I want to?
I mean, I really don't want to share what the switch was.
No, you're not like that. But
I mean, there were
your mind
there
something.
were a series of events that happened too, and I realized that like this is my future if I continue to drink this way.
That's
I'm gonna have no future.
Wow.
If I live this way.
It's and you know, I'm sorry if I kind of treaded through some.
No, it's fine. I don't want to say anything ever incriminating.
No, I understand. No, the reason is because I mean it's very close to me, and I think I've shared it before. You know, my father, he's actually been clean, and everyone's kind of like, what happened?
Sure.
You know, he just stopped all of a sudden. No one's really talked about it. We kind of did have a conversation, and it's kind of the first conversation we've had in almost a couple of years, and it was like, it was weird because he was trying to talk to me almost as if nothing happened, and then I was like, hold it, like, don't rush it. He goes, oh, but you know, I moved past that. I'm like, I understand that, but I haven't. You know, I have wounds that I'm trying to heal myself. You have to just be a little patient with me. But we wouldn't be having this conversation if I wasn't trying.
Sure.
Okay. So just give me time, but eventually we can. But it was that eventually he told me that something switched, and I said, well, what was? And it was very similar. He's just like, I just can't continue doing this. I saw the damage that I was causing. I guess I never really understood. And to this day, I don't think I'm ever going to understand. Something in him must have changed for him to say, I need to make this choice.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see, like, you know, how that, but assuming it must have been a lot that has happened for you to be like, I can't continue.
Yeah, it's hard to define. It's a psychic change, right?
Okay.
Where you just see the world differently, and you see your behavior differently, and you know that you can't survive if you continue down that road. So congrats to your to your
Yeah,
father.
You know, congrats to you as well. I know it was a long time ago, but I can only imagine.
But, I mean, I've been clean and sober for 30 years this July.
Congratulations.
But it's unusual for somebody this, at this
Awesome.
age, right? You guys, I turned 50.
Yeah.
In February. So,
Well, if I may say, you look amazing. You look
but
really good.
I appreciate it.
Jeez,
Thank
actually,
you.
you do,
You guys,
yeah.
thank you. I appreciate it. It's a lot of makeup. I'm kidding.
That's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
it's good. But it's great. I mean, living a clean lifestyle. And I think that helps me. I mean, the struggle early on, but also helping other people, live a clean lifestyle, or at least, you have to be fit. You got to make good decisions, right?
We talk about
You got to, it's about the people that you expose yourself to, right? I mean, so it helps me help other, it just, you have a different level of insight. It's not just talk.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I've also learned, because we actually started the podcast a couple years ago, and we started with the basis about being relationships, just talk about dating advice, whatever. And then we actually spoke about this last night also. Then we were like, okay, well, in order to have a healthy relationship, you need to be healthy with yourself. So every healthy relationship starts with yourself. That's kind of like the motto that we kind of come across. And then it ties into what you had just said, where, well, how can I have a healthy relationship with myself? What ties into taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, my health, what I'm eating. And then it's almost like walking the walk. When you can do what you say with the advice that you give, you start feeling better. Your mind starts feeling better. You're just a better person overall, better partner, better friend, employee. It kind of just like permeates to everything else in your life. Yeah. But again, it all starts with you first.
It all starts with you. And you guys, I don't know if you saw this on my website. So I know that Marvin has written 4 books.
Yeah, 2 of them on this table right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been working on a book for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm on the last edit. But it's entitled, I have 2 versions, 2 covers, okay? The first one is How Not to F Up Your Life, the art and science of mate selection. And then the other one for the synagogue and for the priests, because I know the churches are going to be, I'm going to try to get them to promote it. It's How Not to Ruin Your Life. But it's the same title. One is How Not to F Up Your Life. The other one's How Not to Ruin Your Life.
One's more acceptable.
Exactly.
Sure.
But the whole premise of the book, it is about what the science says about what mate value is, like in terms of you work on yourself, right? First.
Yeah.
To be the best person that you can have, so then you can match up with another great person. And then the second part of the book is you have to pick somebody that's compatible with you. In order to make the relationship work.
Wow.
Right? So, it's those 2 components. I mean, that's how you have a healthy relationship. You're being and this is, I think, right in line with what you guys do every day, right? Being the best, picking the best, and then making sure it's the right person. Right, and then, of course, you got to live it then. After you've picked out the right person. So, but you guys, the book will be out in a couple months.
Okay, no worries. You let us know. We'll pump it up.
I mean, because I even took off all Monday this week. And partly there's some inspiration when I was like reading your background, Marvin, and I saw that you've like published 4 books already.
Yeah, I appreciate
I'm like,
that.
What the hell am I doing? I've
been
like,
you're a lot more busy, I think.
What's
going on?
But I have time. Okay. I mean, I just have you got to set aside. I mean, this is the thing about if you're going to take care of yourself, you always got to put yourself first at times. Yeah. I'm not saying don't ignore other people, but it's kind of like when you want to save money, you got to pay yourself first before you pay everybody else, right?
Like oh my God, I wish Christina. Oh my God, you have no idea. I'm like trying to get her on that.
But it's the same. It's the same thing when you are promoting self-care, right? I mean, you got to pay yourself first. So, and I do. I preach this, but life is busy. So, but thank you for inspiring me because I swear, I took off all Monday.
I love that.
That's
to
awesome.
get my final edit done.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So it'll come out in a couple of months.
It will.
And
covers are done. Covers are beautiful. Everything's ready. It's just waiting on me.
We're excited. You let us know how you move forward, and we'll stay in touch for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll be excited. So originally, I had sent you an email with a couple of topics, and I think I sent it to you as well. And really, what I wanted to talk about today is also. And there's a multitude of issues, and even listening to you, there's other things I want to talk to as well. But I think the premise of all, and the key part of it all is, I was watching this article the other day, and it kind of was highlighting how a lot of young men are struggling. And so for us, it's, I mean, we're not that young, but we're pretty young. And
Wait a
so
minute, how old are you guys?
I'll be 30 in
a couple weeks.
2 weeks.
30!
I am 30. I turned 30 in October.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So the article's about you guys.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it?
somewhat.
Oh, it was our age group. Yeah,
it was our age group. And so for me, it's and I read stuff like that. It's like a lot of young men are struggling. A lot of men aren't having sex.
I took notes about that too.
They aren't finding partners. And the weird part is that the women in the same age group, they are dating. They are finding partners. They are finding love. And so why is that happening? I've sent you 3 articles, and we'll put them in the description. And so I kind of wanted to kind of pitch that idea to you and kind of maybe get your point on that.
Yeah.
And seeing why is it that a lot of so many men in this country are struggling.
Did the article probably miss something, or maybe you see something
that supports that claim,
Yeah, what do you think?
And the great thing is, we are in sync because all the stuff you guys sent me, I've been doing informational videos on Instagram and TikTok about the same stuff.
Beautiful.
And I had just done something on TikTok about this because it was like 63% of
young
men 25 to 32 are not in relationships, right? Versus most of the women are.
Yeah.
Right?
So who are they dating?
I mean, they're dating
based on the article.
They're dating older men, or they're dating each other. Yeah. Yeah.
The Gen Z.
And you guys, I got to tell you, in the practice, I mean, I've seen so many, mid 20-year-olds to, younger 30-year-olds that are not dating women. I've seen so many college kids that have never even dated a woman before.
That's crazy to me.
Relying on pornography.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And you guys, what we know about like women are, because of all the access online, everything's easy, it creates even more competition, okay? And people often think that men are the more critical sex, but what we know from the science, women are actually the more critical sex, right? I mean, so it is very hard for some of these guys to breach that, whatever is inhibiting them to then start dating and to take that risk. So, and a lot of guys will tell me, it's just easier to look at porn than like be in a relationship. My needs are met.
Right. And I think that's because I was reading that, but I also think, is it that the guys are just choosing to watch porn because they just don't really care, or is it that they see what's out there, and maybe it's not so much that, well, the women aren't dating the young guys, it's they're choosing to date older men, so the guys are like, well, who do I date then?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely part of it, because even I remember when I was in my 20s, and we certainly know more and pay attention more, even with social media too. I think we just pay more attention to trends, because even when I was in my 20s, it was really hard to get a girl, the right girl, because the girls that that everybody was trying to pursue, they were dating older guys. I mean, they were, and they were getting married. Right?
And this was when you were younger.
When I was in my 20s, I mean, it was difficult. Or even in the early 30s, the girls are wanting to get married, and they're marrying guys that want to get married. I mean, the guys that are like 3 to 5 years older, right, or 10 years older.
Well, yeah, because that was one of the articles that was highlighting that too. It's because that a lot of young men, they don't have as much to offer, and so that maybe a lot of women, they want emotionally available men. They want men that are open to commitment. That they want men that are financially maybe a little bit more secure and just have more to offer, stable, and consistent. And so if younger men aren't able to meet those needs from those women, then what are women meant to be doing? They have to date older, right? I mean,
it's kind of a perfect storm though too, right? Because people are waiting longer to get married, right? So even the men that have waited longer to get married. So if you're 35, you've even acquired more resources, right? You're in a much better position to then marry somebody that's younger, because it's still, even today in America, men are usually on average about 3 years older than women when you marry. I mean, that's where we are. Yeah. Canada, it's like the closest gap. Big gaps are like in Saudi Arabia and things like that. Where they're like 10 years apart. But also, guys that are 30 today, they grew up in the world of pornography though too. So even as a teenager, you're not learning those skills, those interpersonal and relationship skills, and how to relate to.
It's also true, because they're not really getting out there communicating. They don't have to. They could just.
They play their video games and be on social media.
Exactly. What blows me away, there's so many high school kids that never have a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. And like even the dances, they don't go with a boyfriend, girlfriend. They just go with the guy group, the girl group. They go party. They want to hook up. But they don't learn how to have relationships, and they don't have their first partner until they go off to college often.
But then do you also see, because I see this side, because if it goes back to that. If the women are either dating each other or dating older men who are probably more established, more whatever it is you want to say it almost feels like, well, as a guy, if they're going to date them, I don't have what the resources that, an older man would have, or if they're into girls and I'm a dude, well, they're not going to be into me. Yeah. What do I do then? There is no one to date. So it's not really that I'm choosing not to date. It's, there's no one in the pool for me to choose. Right. Yeah. Right.
So maybe you don't qualify. Well, you clearly don't qualify, but there are certain things that are in your control, right? I mean, in terms of, you might not have the resources, but are you emotionally available? Are you ambitious? Are you driven? Are you fit? Are you healthy? Do you prioritize your well-being? And so I think that could also play a big role, because maybe women are dating older guys, but what am I going to do about it? Am I going to sit at home and play video games, or am I going to craft my social skills and get out there and try to meet people and try to better myself and try to self-develop?
I can kind of see, true. I can kind of, but I also feel like maybe are men being encouraged to do that?
That's true.
Because it could also be that, well, if the girl's not going to date me, well, why would I even try? If it's already kind of written in stone, is what it feels like. Well, if they are going to be dating older men or each other, whatever.
And I think every generation has faced this, but now it is even more difficult again because of social media.
I agree.
There's all kinds of comparisons. Yeah. I mean,
you're always seeing the next best thing.
I mean, you guys, your profiles are up online, right? Like, I mean, you got your report card that's up, right, for everybody to see, and a lot of men. And I don't want to be too much of a traditionalist, right? Because I mean, a woman can have the same resources. They don't need to rely on a guy to do that. The gap education. I mean, more women are going to college.
Yeah, more bachelor degrees. I read that the other day. Yeah.
And the gap. I mean, there's still a gap, an income gap, but that is also because
it's closing.
It's closing, and eventually it'll. Women will surpass men, and because of, but a lot of this too, I think men are, they're maturing slower. There's the pornography challenge, the video game challenge.
Yeah.
And like in relationships though, like 30-year-olds that are married, the millennials that are getting married, even though both are working, the wife is still managing the majority of the childcare.
Yeah.
And they're getting upset, because all of a sudden when you're married, you naturally go to childcare, and then the guys are coming home and they're playing video games, and they're like,
they're drinking a beer.
I worked all day, and she's like, well, so did I.
Now I'm still working.
I'm still working. So, and this is what I tell millennial men all the time. Like, you have to be. Women are attracted to industrious and ambitious men that work hard. But work hard all the time. When these millennial men come home, you have to. Your job's not over, right? You both worked. Now even if the wife is if she's a stay-at-home mom, the dad is the husband is the one working. When he comes home, his job's not over, and the wife's job is not over either, right? Both of them are working 24. If you have kids, you're working 24/7.
True.
Both of you.
Full-time job.
Yeah. My goodness.
There were so many good
things. Probably gonna upset some people there though with this conversation. Somebody always gets mad when you're talking about what the roles are.
You could say anything, and then you could say have a beautiful day, and somebody's gonna get mad at you for saying that. So for me, I mean, at this point, we
victim blaming.
Yeah.
Victim blaming.
There was it's funny. I was watching because you had said about the on social media you kind of see like the report card of them. I was watching a video yesterday. They were talking about kind of like the power of dating apps, and two comments on that. One of them was supposedly, I believe that it's the majority of women are competing for just 10% of the men. Okay, that's one of those statistics. There was something else that I had heard, and I don't remember. But that was one of that I remember seeing that. It's like, well, if it's only the 10% of guys on this app that are getting the most attention, 90% are just there. And then we had
spinning their wheels.
We had Jennifer yesterday. She just goes on the app and she'll just
like
swipes, and she just puts her phone away. And I'm like, well, what about that guy who's probably like, oh my God, I finally swiped her. I don't want to talk to her. He writes to her and then probably writes again, and then he's like, well, look at this creep who wrote to me 2 times in a row.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, what are you even doing?
But they do. They have all the women still have the power. And the great thing is, the apps, they mimic what happens at the bar, right? It's like the woman is still the gatekeeper, and whether you can talk to her or not. It's like two people glance. It's the same swiping. You're looking across the bar. Are they looking at me? Are they giving me an extended gaze too? And then she's either, letting you in or not. I mean, and that's why these dating apps work so well, right? Yeah. It's really mimicking real life.
Yeah.
It's what used to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And they still are the gatekeepers to whether you can talk to me or not.
Right.
They have all the power.
Yeah, I think it could be very discouraging for some men. And obviously there's accountability on both ends. Maybe a lot of guys have like really weird profile pictures. They have like, so it's like, what is it that you're doing? Are you putting your best foot out there, or are you putting up a picture with a fish, with holding up a fishing, when you're out fishing, you're holding a picture like
girls love that.
Yeah. Like, dude, what is it, because what are you that you're putting out there? So that's also a big aspect of it. But I think we live in a world where, especially society in today's world, where it's like, ooh, being a man sometimes could be difficult. Like you watch this video, you go to the gym, you look at a girl, next thing you know, you end up on TikTok and social media.
Yeah,
look at this creep.
You
try to talk to a girl, don't talk to me. You try to write a girl, don't write to me.
What do we do?
Yeah,
what do you guys want?
I know, and this is why I'm saying that it's true. Like the science says, women are the more critical sex. I mean, they are.
Yeah, that's what
they are. They're the deciders, and yet. This is why there's even this war on masculinity. Like there's you guys. I mean, the women run the world. Why? Yeah. My wife runs my household, right? Yeah. And that's what drives me crazy when people are saying that I'm a misogynist. Like some of the material that's very neutral. I believe in the same for everyone.
Sure.
And my daughters are in charge. My wife is in charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not me.
I'm just curious. I would love to know, like, what is it that the men could do in order to kind of overcome some of these things, these struggles that they're dealing with. And have you had that with some of the patients that you've had, or do you have any type of insight on for young men? Which
I did want to comment because I did see one of your videos where you said when you're practicing, you don't really just listen. Yeah. You had said that you do want to kind of steer in some sort of direction. Which supposedly, it's kind of frowned upon, right?
It is a little. Well, it depends upon the training, but but as a psychological scientist, I'm supposed to be providing what the evidence says, right? If somebody's doing the wrong thing, I need to correct their course and say you should do it this way.
Okay.
But then there are others that are related to my field that would say, you're supposed to just listen and help the person come to their truth. And when you do that, people are going to waste a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah, that could be frustrating. Because I go to therapy. I've gone to therapy for many years now.
I love that, Marvin.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. It's all about self-development and self-awareness. So sometimes I talk to my therapist, and I love her. She's great. But sometimes she'll just listen, and I'm like, all right. Give me some feedback.
Tell me something.
I'm just talking to myself here.
All right, see you next week. You're like,
what's going on? And so, obviously, and I'm like, what should I do? And she's like, oh, I can't tell you what to do. And so, it reminds me, like, come on, I got to sit down with you.
Yeah, I'm very directive, and I try to encourage the other. I have 12 providers at our office, so really encourage them to. We try to be different from everybody else, and at least encourage people to do the right thing based on whatever the science says.
Sure.
So then, the same thing is with relationships and helping men be more marketable, right?
Marketable.
And this is the thing. Why I wrote this book too, because we don't know what does the science say? Because a lot of times it's like we're waiting on the magic. You're waiting on a feeling, but there are things that you can do to make you feel more confident. And you guys, a lot of this is about like improving your status too.
I was thinking that.
It is about acquiring resources.
Yeah.
But it's just like a woman. Like the man needs to work on himself, just like the woman needs to work on herself to be the best partner that she can potentially be. Yeah. Until these people come together
and attract each other.
Well, yeah, because one of the things that they always say, it's you like, I have a laundry list of what I'm looking for in a partner, but they say, okay, well, create that list of what you're looking for in a partner and become that list.
Yeah, you have. Absolutely. And I can kind of run through what the science says too, a couple things that, people, you want somebody. So if you're struggling with any of this stuff as the guy or even the girl, you got to work on not being this way. Okay. And people prefer people that are agreeable too, like if you're somebody that doesn't get along with other people, do you argue all the time? Are you are you easygoing? We like agreeable people. Okay. We like people that are, I am not naturally an extrovert, but people are attracted to extroverts. So you got to at least be that way. You don't have to prefer it, but you need to be able to be extroverted because Like for a man, why is that attractive? Because it means that you can go out and get resources and you're not afraid of the world. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's
So
just like you,
gotta,
dude.
yeah.
No,
you,
not
worked
gonna lie.
on, you worked on it. You're extroverted now. You can be
Yeah.
extroverted if you.
I can be
You
if I
can.
want to, but also, you know, I like to comfort in my own home, and I like to be in a
Yeah.
comfort environment. But I've been traveling for many years.
Continue.
I've been traveling for many years, and so I had to step out of my comfort zone. When I was 18 years old, I moved to Texas for 2 years. I didn't know anybody, barely like English, very very thick accent, very shy, very quiet, and I just kind of had to step out of my comfort zone. So
And you're also in the service industry. You're in the hospitality, so you're also dealing with people.
talking to strangers all day.
Because I work, so I'm in banking, as you know, and I deal with clients every single day. I have to make calls. I meet people, and it's funny because when you are kind of forced to deal with people, you kind of start developing like social skills of how to go about it.
Yeah.
But you, my friend, it is pretty amazing because I've traveled with him a few times already, and even when we go out, there's still like a little bit of hesitation that I'll have, like, oh, who do we have to talk to? And he's just like, he would just start. I see he leaves. Like I turn around, I don't see Marvin anymore, and I see him walking up to someone. I'm like, he just doesn't care. And I gotta be honest, man, that's a very very strong trait. It just shows that you're that you don't care. Yeah, always. Yeah. That's what I love traveling with him because I'll be lost, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna figure it out. While I'm confused, he's already looking for the
True. Yeah. I guess it's skills that you can. The good thing about it is you can learn about it.
Yeah,
you can acquire it. So there's a lot of young kids who maybe don't have those social skills. Well, you can learn about it.
And you know what I also think it is? I feel like everybody does want to have those social skills because I mean you develop them, and I feel like I have them, but not to your level. And I feel like when you're the one that goes up to people, they're almost like, why are they going up to me? But it's almost like, man, he had like the balls to come all the way up to me and talk to me. If only I can do that. So I think it's also like. It's a little bit shocking because they're not used to it, but I feel like everyone would love to not be afraid to go up to someone and get some sort of answer.
Sure, and if you're hesitant, you work on it, right? I mean, and that's what increases your value, okay? And then you want to be low on what we call neuroticism, and neuroticism is when they're really anxious, they think everything's about them. If somebody's talking in the corner, they're thinking, oh, they're saying something bad about me. Or somebody's like really they're really impulsive. They make bad relationship choices. That's somebody that's neurotic. So you got to work on those kind of things. And then you got to be physically fit too. Like women like a V-shaped torso. They want. I mean, they're attracted to a man.
It shows strength. It shows that they're more masculine.
Yeah. Just like we are, I mean, in terms of there's a waist-hip ratio,
right?
And this is going to be upsetting, but it's across the globe. It's a 0.67% ratio. Okay. So that means the
hips are
a little thinner than the waist is a little thinner than the hip. So it's the waist-hip ratio of 0.67 globally. Okay. But then, of course, sometimes we expand the body. Everybody has a different preference.
There's a spectrum.
But generally speaking, if we looked at the
facts say,
it's that 0.67
the average
waist hip ratio. So
is the reason for that being because instinctually we are prone to want to mate and reproduce, so we are attracted to women.
Yeah, it is a sign of fertility, of healthfulness. There's so many other things like, why am I attracted to this? Like, why? What does that have to do with anything? Like even the shape of the lumbar, the shape of the back. You know that like some women the small of the back can be like
right, like above the behind and
yes.
Okay.
So if it's shaped correctly, there's a reason that we're attracted to it. If it's shaped correctly, what you're attracted to is that it means that the woman can carry a child upright for 9 months. Okay, because of how the weight of the child is on the woman's back, just based on that curve. That's what some backs are amazing, right? And
I was like a straight fucking back.
Yeah.
So next time they ask me, are you a tits guy or an ass guy? I'm a back.
I'm a back guy.
I'm a lower back guy.
But I mean, you guys, it's like boobs. I mean, why are we attracted to breasts? I mean,
because they feed babies,
they're going
to
nourish a child, so it's the right shape. That it's going to be able to fill with milk, and the woman's going to be
women are attracted
and like
to
legs on the behind. That's more for
legs is if they have long legs, they can escape danger. No,
well, it is. I mean, it's a sign of athleticism and youth, which is what men are typically attracted to. I mean, it's why guys typically, they're older. I mean, there's usually historically there's been an exchange for attractiveness and resources, right, between the man and the woman.
True.
Certainly that gap is closing, but this is how we've evolved, right? And now we're evolving at a different level because women are now, again, that education gap is closing. So this is like the next part of our evolution. But those impulses are still there. I mean, our impulses are still there, right? Even though women say they want, they're attracted to something else, but then they're not. Like, why are they going for the older guy? Why are they going for the super tall guy, the super athletic guy, the super wealthy guy?
Right.
Why aren't they giving the guy, like, I'm not a tall guy. Why aren't they going for the guy that may be vertically challenged? Right?
Yes.
So.
Right. Damn, I was gonna say something.
Yeah,
my mind.
It'll come back to you. So that's why women are generally attracted to taller men, because it's protective and they seek strong strength. A lot of guys are like short guys are like, oh my god, why can't I attract any woman?
I mean, but the thing is with this is like most women want a guy on a dating profile that's at least 6 feet.
Yeah,
we know that.
Yeah.
But I tell the guys that are like me, it doesn't matter about height as long as, and this is what the science says, as long as you're ambitious and you have resources.
That has more weight than.
It does. Because come on, we've seen guys you see guys with even a taller woman, even though it's not that common, right? But there's a lot of things that will supplant, or that overcome your lack of height.
Yeah, you just gotta make up for it in another aspect.
Yeah,
I feel like because we have a buddy, I think that's kind of like that, but I feel like he already walks into the situation already defeating himself. Like he's already walking in there thinking they want this, they want that, the tall guy, the strong guy, all that stuff. And I mean, he's not tall, he's strong. But he's very ambitious. He went to a great school. He has a great family.
Yeah.
He's good values. But I feel like he's almost like conditioned in his mind that, well, women want this. Yeah. So he already walks into the room already defeated, and he goes, oh, they're never going to take a look at me because this is what they're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is at first glance, I mean, they're not, it's just kind of like, it's like us. Men prefer physical. I mean, physical attractiveness is very important to both sexes, right?
Sure.
But in order to have an opportunity, the person has to be physically attractive enough to you, right? To your liking.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it just
starts here. Most cases.
So he's just got to work on other things. I mean, he's working on these other things, but working on other aspects of relationship. Maybe he won't get that first look, but if he gets,
conversation going,
works some other angle, she's like, whoa, right? I could dig this guy.
I think he may have like a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, almost like it's like oh, my height is a disadvantage,
right.
And it's like, well, you got to get over that, like there's nothing you can
work
do
with what you got at this point. Yeah,
you're not gonna get over your height.
You got to work with what you got.
Question for you, because it's funny. I was talking to one of my buddies, and he's very into analytics and statistics and stuff. And one of the things that they were talking, I also saw a video on Instagram, but they say getting advice from either a man or woman when it comes to dating, right? And they say that as a man because women will say, well, I want a guy who can listen and that they're vulnerable and all this stuff. Yet, just like you said, it's not really what they're going after. So they say, well, if you're going to get advice from a woman, do the complete opposite. That's one of the things, because a guy's going to tell you kind of the harder truth that maybe women don't want to accept, which we call that like the red pill, blue pill situation right now. Now more red pill, it's like, hey, be like this, be a man, do these things. And it almost seems like, women, there's an outrage when they hear that, yet somehow
that's what they're attracted
they
to.
lead down the same path to that.
Yeah, and you guys, I mean, being in South Florida, it's very different from Jacksonville, Florida, where I am, where there, and it is, there are so many people here, okay? I see that there's so much more competition here, right? With more people.
True. Yeah.
Because there's so much more affluence there. The women show off their beauty so much more. The men show off their resources so much more.
True.
It is. I mean, here is like this would be like a case. This is a case study, right? In South Florida. I mean, here is where we see it all play out, like what men are doing and what women are doing.
But do you feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like we've gotten away from, like, think of the situation of our buddy, the one that we're talking about. Like, all the other aspects that you would want in a partner, it almost feels like down here, none of that matters unless you have something to flash, whether it be breasts, bottom, clothing, little to no clothing, actually.
Yeah.
That's why I send up my buddies sometimes. Whenever I see a girl, there'll be an influencer or one of these IG models. They're not wearing any clothes and they're out. And I'll send it to them. I'm like, this is like, this person went out wearing this.
Yeah. I cannot believe it. I mean, the bodysuits, right? I mean, I just can't. It's like all there. They might as well not have any clothes
and it's
on.
sheer. They're just
all.
wearing the thong and the bra
Yeah.
and a sheer body. I'm like,
and you know, people are I mean, so those things are somewhat important to at least get the door open or get that initial attraction. But what's important is somebody that's kind, right?
Yeah.
That's nurturing, that is going to love you, that's going to be faithful, that's not looking to monkey branch you, you know, to the next thing, right? I mean, we want somebody that's going to honor your relationship. They're not just waiting for the next best thing. So
yeah,
Stick by your side.
it's scary. Yeah, it's scary. So, and that's what, and that, I mean, that, you know, a lot of people are afraid of you know, people don't know what to do, right?
It's tough. It's a tough market. I mean, we're in relationships, so.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night with the
Yeah.
guest. And I'm like, I don't even want. I hope I never get single again. I don't even want to deal with what's out there.
That's crazy. I mean, we got good women. Not for anything. We got some really
I
good
think
women.
so too.
Great
but just
women.
like that, well, we're also great men, though.
We are great men.
yeah.
You
See,
see.
look at that.
Yeah, go
Great
on.
men
Yeah,
attract-
we are.
Yeah, we are.
You attract great women, and then
Yeah.
you are great in your relationship.
But we were great before we met them. Like,
Well, I
we
mean, it took us time
took, of
for us to
course,
like,
yeah, to get
develop
to
ourselves, grow, learn, mature,
Yeah.
and be, I think, very empathetic.
No,
There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah, keep going. What else we got?
We got a lot of qualities.
No, but I think so. I think it took us a while, and I think it's very similar in the way that you kind of approach things, because like you'll lead with with facts or what the data is saying,
Yeah.
and I would like to say that I take an approach of, well, what's fair in this situation? I would never want to take advantage of you in a situation, so why would I want to get taken advantage? It's the first thing that I told you. It's if I want to be accepted for my beliefs and my tradition, whatever it may be of who I am, well, I need to be open to accepting maybe something that's a little bit different that I may not be too comfortable with, but I should at least be open and understanding. And I feel like that's the approach where, let's just be fair in the situation. And how would this be fair? Because I don't want to do something that's going to upset you, and vice versa. The same thing. I wouldn't want for you to do something that's going to upset me. So what would be the right thing to do in the situation? And then that's kind of how I'll take the approach.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right approach, but
Yeah, I like it. Do you guys know what are the two most important factors for relationship compatibility?
Illuminate us.
Okay. I mean, the first one is the first one's political views.
okay.
Really?
Okay. Because think about what your political views are. I mean, it determines how you live your life, how you think about situations, where you vacation, who you hang out with.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really important that when you're going to marry someone or you're dating someone seriously, you have the same political views. Not always, okay,
Not
but
everything, but generally,
but you want to have that overlap. And this is just based on the research, okay? I mean, it's not always right, but also having somebody that has the same religious views as you. And then certainly people are, people from different religions, can marry and date and things like that. But being the same makes things much easier because it determines like where the kids are going to go to school, right? How they're going to be raised. Are they going to church or not? What are their belief systems going to be? I mean, these are things.
Vaccines or anti-vax?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So
yes,
important. Yeah.
you guys.
People don't realize
But I'm
that.
being serious. Like life
No.
is hard enough, and you have to agree on all the basic stuff. So politics and religion, I hate to say it, but those like manage a lot of things. Okay, and I know people are going to be like, they're going to be texting and saying messages that, well, wait a minute, I'm a Muslim and my spouse is Jewish and we've been married for 20 years and it's been great. And yeah, it works a lot of times, but it's just easier when those things are. It's great when you don't even have to communicate it because you both already think the same.
Right. It may have worked for them, but if we were to find maybe another study of a relationship that didn't work, we can probably result to that being the reason why.
Those differences. Yeah.
And it's like you're speaking my mind because I'm so big on compatibility.
Yeah,
having the
similar
same
lifestyles
and of course you're gonna have differences, and it's important also because you want to learn, you want to adapt, you want to challenge each other. But certain core beliefs, religion, faith, family, like those things.
I mean, it's the value. It's the
foundation.
You gotta like have the same values with each
values,
other, or you're just trying to change each other.
Yeah,
and it's fun. Like I mean, because now there's lots of like even in my wife is Middle Eastern. I'm I'm Caucasian.
She is?
She is Middle Eastern.
She doesn't look Middle Eastern.
She's very, I mean, her family. You see,
Where is she from? What's her background?
She is of Iraqi descent.
Really?
Both of her parents are from Iraq.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
But it's kind of like a clash of cultures.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I'm German Italian, right? You know, with somebody that's Middle Eastern. So, but it works because we have the same values, even though we're from different cultures.
Yeah. So it was never, because I did see one of the videos of it was you with your wife, and you were saying how like your families, they get along and they were accepting of one another. So there was never like a very difficult. No, we're very, you know, on one side extreme.
Yeah, I mean, her family is much more big family oriented. Okay, and my family's more smaller family oriented.
And that works for you guys.
But it works because. But my family, even I have two brothers, and when they have, and one is married, another one has a significant other. But whenever we're all together, we always join her big family,
right?
For lots of things.
It's kind of like, dude. Well, I mean, my family, they don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, same.
But then you go to Christina, she has like, you already know. You know exactly what I'm talking about, actually.
my girl, too. It's crazy. Hispanic families are just
You guys are both. Are you both Hispanic too?
No, he's Hispanic. Well, like my girlfriend's Colombian. When Colombians in particular, they have a large family and stuff like that.
And they like to party.
Yeah, very late. It started late.
Oh my gosh,
very late. It's very different for me. Like, you know, in Germany, it's a lot more conservative, a lot more smaller, more intricate, and not as friendly. And I know
it's crazy, right? Like how different like the traditions can be, and the upbringings, like from European countries to like maybe like Latin American countries.
Yeah, it's very different. But I love them. They're a great time, you know. But for me, it's just a couple of hours, and I'm like, okay, like, I gotta tap out.
You're done.
Yeah,
sure.
These people go for hours.
I bet.
I bet. I can't do it. But yeah, I can see if family values and all these different core beliefs are so important for any fundamentally healthy relationship. And a lot of people overlook those things, or they wait too long. A lot of people I've seen, you know, they have kids with somebody, and then they talk about religion and vaccines and all this stuff. And like, where was this conversation, you know, 9 months ago or when you first met them? So I think a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about some of these issues because they are a little bit heavier. And so some people are like, well, you know, should I talk about this? Should I not? But it's like,
I don't want to offend them. But then what if they offend me?
But that's like, dude, you want to choose your partner and vet them early almost, you know?
I mean, they need to, and this is why. So 86% of young people, like 25 to 35-year-olds, believe that their marriage will last forever, right? Because
everyone goes in.
Well, you do, but because you base it on love, right? On that feeling at
that moment,
this person, they're amazing, and not on the compatibility, right?
The character of the person.
And then we know 20 years later, you know, half of those people are divorced, right? But yeah, we all expect that it's going to last forever.
Well, you say it too. No one goes into a marriage thinking that, I can't wait to get divorced.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, well, it's interesting about reservations too, and this might be helpful for guys and girls to listen. So, so when a woman has reservations about getting married, that's usually correlated with, you know, the marriage not working out. Guys typically always have reservations. It's not related to whether it works out or not.
Really?
So
what makes you say that? Where are those reservations coming from?
Well, I mean, I think it's just like the woman, you know, the woman kind of knows if, you know, she's got some greater insight. Guys are always a little more commitment phobic, typically.
Do you think that maybe it's because I think there's more light being shed on, I don't want to say the disadvantages, but it's almost men would get the shorter end of the stick in case of a divorce happening. You think that maybe there's a little bit more fear of getting married with that possibility?
Well, I think
maybe not for you, because I know you're happily married. But
I think
what does the data say?
Well, I think just because, you know, because men typically have more partners, are a little bit more commitment phobic. They typically have different mating strategies than women do, where women are trying to secure a commitment. And when a woman is securing a commitment, yet they're uneasy about the commitment, that means there's trouble. Okay, because she's like thinking, this is not the guy that I really should be with.
Settling down with. Yeah. But if a man feels that, like if a man has some reservations, it might not just be.
It's typical that a guy's having reservations. But, you know, certainly I would, if you're having reservations, certainly you want to work through that with a couple good friends or maybe a professional, just to make sure whether you're a, you know, man or woman.
Yeah.
Because it should be an exciting time too, but it's normal to have some reservations a little bit.
Because it could also be it could be scary.
Your girl put you up against the wall.
No,
my girl put you up against the wall. Like,
my girl,
it's Bear.
Nah, she would
still Bear.
She wouldn't. My girlfriend's very understanding. But it's a scary thing, getting married, and maybe because of this, like I've met a lot of people who their marriages didn't work out.
Sure.
And there's more of the minority where it does work for them,
Minority.
But I mean, based on what I've experienced so far, people we've met. But yeah, it could be a scary thing, and because being with this person for the rest of your life, it's a long time. Yeah. The rest of your life is long, so I think it could. To me, it's a little bit scary. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that I'm like not sure if I want to be with this person or if I don't love that person. I think that has to be made clear, because a lot of people might think like, oh, like maybe this is not the person for you. Well, I don't think so. I do think this is the person for me. But marriage in itself can be intimidating.
It's a big commitment. And there's even been a study looking at people in terms of how exciting they were. So people that are either excited about getting married, lukewarm about getting married, or, doubting about getting married. The lukewarm and the doubters, they end up divorced typically. But if you're excited about the marriage, you're more likely to stay married. Yeah, and so, but you got to really be jazzed if it's this person. I mean, you want to be married, even though there's some reservations, but you got to really want it and be crazy about this person.
Yeah, you got to want it.
I mean, I remember with my wife, I mean, I never wanted to get married before. I mean, I never wanted to be married, and all of a sudden I met this person, and I'm like, I wanted to have children with this person. Like, it was unstoppable. Wow. It was unstoppable. Like, I knew. And I can't even explain it other than it was just full. I finally felt full. That's really how I would describe it. But, I'm just challenging, the listeners out there that you've got to be really excited about this person. If you're not excited about them, do not marry them.
What would you say are probably some key questions or key moments that maybe early on in the dating phase or maybe in the relationship that one should look out for to kind of give them that more comfortable feeling of, oh, this is what I'm looking for long term?
Yeah, so certainly the person does what they say they're going to do, somebody that's reliable, and somebody that is nurturing and ambitious or industrious, somebody that is kind to them, and there are not, red flags that are popping up, or like all of a sudden they feel uneasy about the person, or they kind of feel sick and scared, like, where is this person? Or, they said they were going to come over here tonight. Like, where'd they go? Like, are they reliable? So as soon as somebody's being inconsistent, it's usually a sign. I would be saying back away a little bit.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to touch back on something that you had said earlier. You talked about, and it's funny because I mentioned it in the email. You've talked about a little bit about the family dynamics and like the housework and the chores and stuff like that.
Like gender roles.
Gender roles, or there's roles and responsibilities of a partner.
Yeah.
When you have children, maybe when you don't have children, but you live together.
Yeah.
Maybe you can shed some more light on that, and maybe even give you personal experience, like how does it work for you in your household, if you're comfortable talking about that.
Sure.
And in general, what are like some good strategies to make sure that you have a successful household?
Okay, this is a great topic because this comes up all the time.
And we talk about it too, and I love it. It's a really good topic.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people maybe don't really know what to do in those situations.
And there's been a lot of research in this area too, so it's really interesting. But so I'll just tell you what I do. Yeah. Okay, and I have a very traditional family, very traditional relationship with. I have 4 kids. I work. I mean, I work like 12 hours a day, sometimes 14 hours a day. My wife really manages the kids' lives, my life also, outside of work. And she comes into the office 3 or 4 times a week for a few hours. She's kind of the office manager too. But her primary role is managing the children and managing the home. Okay. And then my primary job is to earn the income and run the business. But when I come home, even though it may be late, my job is not over and her job is not over. We continue to manage the kids and manage our life. And the reason that it works so well, though, is we're both very hardworking, right? Nobody's sitting down playing video games or, when our kids were younger, my wife was not, when I would come home, she would not just hand the kids over to me and then put her feet up, right? I mean, the work kept going.
Yeah.
And today there's lots of different arrangements, right? For younger people too, and even people my age, where both spouses have full-time jobs, and then yet women are still found to take on the majority of childcare and household duties.
Correct.
Okay. And this is a major problem, because the guy's job should not be over when he comes home.
Yeah.
He should be helping. But there should be some discussion about what the roles are. And there was a neat study that came out in 22, and it looked at gender preferences and not necessarily gender differences, so to speak, because we know that men and women do prefer, though, different things. So, and like where men typically at the home, they prefer being outside and working in the yard and things like that, where women prefer more of household duties, okay, and shopping and things like that. That's just what the science says. That's what they prefer. Right. And it even looked at childcare. I mean, this was so interesting, because it even looked at like 58 household items and then like 40 childcare tasks. Mm-hmm. And there was not one childcare task that men preferred over women. Okay. But that doesn't mean I mean, you guys, this is just what the study said.
Of course, okay? Of course. Yeah,
this is what the study said. But the important thing is that you communicate your preference.
Okay.
And as long as your preferences complement the other person, and you're both doing your fair share, this is really important, that you're both working hard, then it's a success. And I see people where the mom works. The mom is a lawyer, a doctor, a business person, and the dad is home taking care of the kids. And the wife is so happy as long as the husband is a great caretaker and he works his butt off when he's at home. But if he's at home playing video games, and as soon as she comes home, he's handing off the children to the full-time working mom,
that's a problem.
There's trouble.
Yeah.
But then, you guys, I also see relationships where there's a stay-at-home mom, okay, and the dad is working full-time, and he has to leave work early because he's got to come home and make dinner because the wife doesn't make dinner, and he's got to come home and clean the house, bathe the kids, put them to bed, and the wife doesn't do that much. I mean, there are countless stories of this. So, and that leads to lots of problems.
And it's funny because you touched up on a couple that I know that's very similar to
oh
that.
boy,
I've heard some stuff. Yeah.
So
are we getting somebody in trouble?
No. I want to kind of continue diving into this. So let me ask you a question from your perhaps experience, or maybe just again your opinion. Because put it this way, let's say that the man is the one that's out working,
sure,
right? Always going out, and then he's the one that comes home and has to prepare everything, wash do the laundry, feed the kids, bathe the kids, put them to bed, whatever. Yeah. And then the mother would kind of just be hanging out. In that event, kind of back to what I had said earlier, if they were to lead down to the path of a divorce, you said there's a lot of problems. Let's go to the one end all, right?
Sure.
Divorce. Wouldn't in that case, I understand that then the woman kind of now is seen as, well, she's the mother. She's taking care of the children because she's home. She can't work.
Yeah.
But if she's really not doing any of the, I don't want to say household duties, but be caretaking duties, it almost seems like the man is still going to be losing in this situation. Mm-hmm. Would you not?
I mean, if he's working and he's coming home and he's picking up.
He's the one doing everything, and let's say he's like, hey, I can't do this anymore, like whatever. Let's say he wants to, file. Yeah. At the end of the day, he's the one that's going to be screwed. Or let's say she's like, oh, well, I don't know. She wants to then file. At the end of the day.
If they file and they're separated and divorced, I mean, she's going to quickly learn how good she had it. And she's going to have to start doing some things, or the kids are going to be spending more time with their father. Yeah.
Ooh. True.
I mean, but like in that, how often do you know personal situation where that happens? I mean, where the mom stays at home and then the father works and he comes home and he still does all that, like the house chores of it.
Yes,
you do.
Yeah, we can talk off.
Okay, yeah. Because
and Marvin, I see a lot of that in my practice.
Okay,
I mean, it's a huge problem with you would have no idea some professional men, you think that they have it all together at home. Yet when they're going home, they are carrying the load. And this is the problem. in a marriage, you need two people that are adept, two people that can function very well. So this means before you get married, you need to make sure that you're up and running so you're going to be a good partner one day. Because life is complicated. I mean, managing a household and kids and your partner and your job, your profession. I mean, you need two people that know how to manage life. So you need to be prepared. But this is common.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny that you said, because I mean, a big reason why I'm so big into health, physical health as well, and I was even telling my girlfriend about it, because we are 30. And we're only going to get older unless we do something about it. And age is that's inevitable, but we can still kind of prolong feeling older if we take care of ourselves. Because if the goal is to have children one day, if the goal is to, I don't know, I want to be active in my child's life. And knowing that I'm 30, by the time that they're, I don't know, teenagers, I'm looking at maybe 40 something, 50, I still want to be, a part of that child's life. So putting in that work now, to kind of over time still be active, because it's a lot, because then you have the job, you have then the full family, and then the extended family, and then you have the children, you have your own personal, if you even have time to do whatever it is that you want to do. So I feel like it's very important, actually having that physical health, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's what's going to drive both of you guys.
It is. So it's important to have the physical health for that longevity, and it's important to have the financial resources too before you start bringing kids into the mix, because life is so expensive, right? And this is why people wait longer and longer to have kids, because you're broke when you have kids. I mean, all the money goes out. I mean, you guys, broke. I feed 6 people, right? I mean, it's one person feeding 6 people.
And you live in a city; it's also expensive.
It's getting more and more expensive, but you need to get this is why we wait longer, to get everything in order, so then we prevent this. I mean, the longer the longer you wait to get married, the less likely you are to get divorced. And that's because you're getting everything, get everything in line.
Instead of just jumping into it without the full resources of making it happen, but then life hits you and you're like, man.
Yeah, because financial stress is like one of the leading causes of divorce. I mean, you fight about money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stressful.
Yeah.
And then you start comparing alternatives, and you guys, and this is like really important, the money conversation, this is about like compatibility. You got to have somebody that has the same financial philosophy as you in a marge.
So I'm trying to work on
very
that.
Important.
I mean, really important, because I see people, like, if somebody makes a bunch of money, the other person is spending it all. It's got to be both people got to be managing money the same way.
I think that's super crucial.
Fighting about it.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because even me, I have a friend of mine. He's very frugal. He's very, like, conservative financially. I work with him. Great guy. And then his girlfriend, she's like, oh, I want to do things. I want to go out. I want to da-da-da. And mind you, she makes considerably less than him.
Sure.
And then so how do you compromise? And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but I'm like, this is a conversation you need to be having now. Because finances is a big part, and there's been multitude of issues where he's talked to me, confided in me, and it all comes back to the money and spending. And I'm like, this is gonna come back down to bite you if you don't tackle this head on.
That'll be the red flag that you're ignoring now. That'll be the reason why you break down.
Yeah, and I'm
break up at the end.
Pay attention. And so maybe I don't know if he's put his foot down, but it keeps reoccurring. So I'm like, you're gonna have to address that and correctly.
Now, I mean, being frugal is okay. Being cheap is also a red flag.
True.
Right, so it's balance. It's okay to be frugal, but women and men, I mean, are not attracted to cheap people. And why is that? Because we're all attracted to people that are generous.
Oh, true.
That can give the resources to give.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's true.
On both men and women.
Of course. I can see that.
But again, you want to be frugal. You don't want somebody that's just being too generous.
But it's also like depending on the season that you're in life right now. If you're working hard, you're trying to achieve, trying to accomplish certain things, then okay, hey, this is temporary.
Yes.
Right. It's an investment right now towards our future.
Exactly. Yes. I'm not saying it's always going to be like this, but right now you have to bear with me.
It is.
So that's
exactly the situation.
And you guys, in the same vein, in terms of people that like being successful in life, the most important, we talk about it's really important to be attracted and connected to, the right company. Yeah. Right? Like your friends determine who you are. But the friend that determines who you are more than anyone else in life is your partner. And that's a fact. And I hear about it all the time, and I see it. If you want to be as successful as a person, you got to have a supportive partner.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're either going to drain your personal development and your professional career, or they're going to help you excel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very true.
So, and of course, I see all the pathology. I see the people come into the office, and I see, it's usually somebody that's really high functioning, and then their partner is is inept at life, and they're like the anchor. They're like they're the one causing a hole in the boat.
Yeah.
And they're drowning the other person.
So, I mean, it almost feels like this is kind of another reason is why a lot of single men probably aren't dating as much, because of almost the feeling of not being able to provide. Not having the capacity to economically provide. Because, for example, if I want to woo, a woman, I would want to take her out on a date. I want to then go pick her up and then maybe give her flowers. I'd like to surprise her. A lot of these things that you'd want to kind of court the woman.
Sure.
Obviously, that's kind of different now in this generation. Everything's changing. I don't even know if it's acceptable anymore. Women get offended if you open a door for them nowadays.
Even though they still want you to hold it.
Yeah.
If you're
Make up your mind.
If you're not doing it, you should have opened it.
Yeah.
And then you do it, and you're like, oh, I can open it myself.
But I feel like that's one of these things where maybe as a younger man, you're like, well, I don't have the resources to be able to even take out a woman.
Sure.
Why even? And I know what you're probably going to say. Well, dates can be free, cheap, whatever. But are the women going to want to accept a free date?
Especially at the beginning,
so there's a lot of things, but I feel like that's also a very big factor because, to your point, things are getting more expensive, and and as you're older, you have more time, you mature, you probably have more experience in your field, whatever you're trying to develop. Eventually, you're going to be making the money.
Sure.
But as a young man, you don't have that. You're trying to build yourself. Yes, you can find a woman who wants to stick by your side, the partner that's going to push you, but to that point, to just date and find a person to do so, I feel like you're almost at a disadvantage if you're younger without having those economic means, I'd say.
You are. But what you can show is that you have the economic potential.
Okay.
Too.
Oh.
And at the same time, if you're with somebody that is just with you for that reason, you want to be leery of that too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you don't want somebody that's just there, with you because of the economic advantage
What
that
you can provide, the lifestyle you can provide. That's very important.
I mean, it's a balance, but just like you want somebody that is healthy, right? You want somebody that's healthy,
sure, of course.
but there's you want somebody that's kind too at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
So true.
Okay.
So,
let me see, 'cause I had a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you did have a lot of notes there. Too.
am I talking too much?
No, not at all.
I love it.
Yeah, okay.
We've touched up on a lot.
You did bring your notes or anything here that you missed out on that you wanted to.
I mean,
that you felt like would be. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really a summary of my book, and I have
Ooh.
let me,
Summary of your book.
I like that.
Yeah, let's get back. Beautiful.
okay. I mean, let me just here.
There we go.
Say it with my glasses, and then I'll take them off. And then if we got any topics that we want to talk about.
Right, the mic.
Okay.
There we go.
We talked about the suicide too. Like what the suicide? I think was one of the why more men.
I had written it. I had written it out. I sent it to you.
Let's talk about that.
The fact that men are more inclined to commit suicide than women.
Thank you.
And why that is. There's a multitude of issues. I'm sure we can talk about it. I think at the core of it all, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, it's a lot of men don't know how to. They don't have anybody to talk to, and B is if they do, they don't know how to open up. They don't know how to be emotionally available, show their emotions, show that they're scared, show that they are sad, and so could that be a leading cause for it?
I also heard that it's a big factor is that we're treating men's almost their, I guess, whatever mental health crisis you want to address, any type of maybe therapy that they need, they're almost approaching it as if they would need to for a woman as well. And that's kind of where there's like a disconnect, because I forgot where I had seen it, but for women, they're kind of, I would say they're probably a little bit more nurturing, more caring. Like you want to talk to them because their feelings are more into the conversation. As for a man, for example, they say that a man, like he wants to feel respected in a relationship. That's how he thrives, about feeling respect. So it's almost like we're addressing these problems as if we were for women, when a man probably needs to be treated a little bit differently for him to properly heal. That's kind of what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
Okay. What is your intake?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot we know about suicide and the differences between men and women. Thank you. We know that men kill themselves 4 times more often than women, And it's usually because of the lethal means that men use. I mean, they use guns.
True.
They hang themselves, things like that. Women usually they either cut themselves or take pills.
Sleeping pills.
And then survive. But there's something called the gender paradox related to suicide, because even though men kill themselves 4 times as often, women think about suicide much more often than men. So it's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
They think about it much more often. But also men and women, how we handle things, and this is in the same vein about therapy though too. When men are struggling, they typically externalize things, right? They get aggressive, right? They fight, get irritable, get angry, but they can turn that anger toward themselves, right? And that's where they use those lethal means. Women instead, they internalize those feelings, and they get depressed or get anxious. And then, of course, they are able to talk, right, about their emotions, and they manage those through relationships.
Interesting.
So men do not, right? They just turn that anger on themselves, that externalized anger.
Yeah, because it almost feels like you've exhausted already externally, sharing how you feel. And, just like you said, where when you go to the internalizing it, it's almost like there's nowhere else to go from here.
Yeah.
What do I do now? Whereas at least for the woman, if they're feeling it first and then they can open up, at least from there they can get some sort of help before they feel like there's nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go. And usually the breaking point for people with suicide, and this is a really important topic as if there's anybody feeling this way, but usually the last thing people feel is everybody is going to be better off if I'm not here, because I'm a burden to other people. So committing suicide is actually, people say that it's the most selfish act, but it's actually a very selfless act, because you're thinking that I'm going to help everybody else because I'm not here. They don't have to carry me anymore. So, I mean, if anybody's feeling that way, you need to talk to somebody.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Terrible.
So, and that's when if you're ever talking to a friend or a family member and they're telling you, this is why people start giving away their stuff at the end too. But that's the sign that they think, it's going to happen. I'm going soon. You guys are going to be better off without me being here anymore. I'm such a burden.
It's hard for me to grasp that somebody could be at such a low point in their life where they feel this way. And obviously, the fact that they've been driven to that point is reason enough to be concerned. But I just wish people would be more open, especially more men would be more open to talk to people and open up to themselves. And I was reading in the articles also that men, they just aren't dating less, younger men, but they also have less friendships.
Oh,
yeah. And men
really,
in general, they
that's
aren't
true.
as good as,
ones.
creating friendships and sustaining them. Yeah, establishing them and having strong bonds with their friends, and far less likely to have those relationships. And I mean, I'm grateful. I have really a good friend group, of male friends.
I agree.
We have good friends, and I'm grateful for that. But a lot of people don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
A lot of men don't have that luxury.
And I agree. And I think it's the video game culture and the pornography culture. It's just it's harder to keep friends, maintain friends. People rely on friends that they don't even have physical contact with.
Online buddies and stuff like that.
Buddies.
Yeah.
And those are real friends, right?
Of course.
But they are not necessarily. There's a difference when you see somebody, when you're like hugging a buddy, giving them a 5. Spending time with them, having a beer,
Actually speaking,
being in the same room. There's a cascade of chemicals that are released when you're with a human being.
I can see that face to face,
and they're missing out on that. And of course, guys often all through all the transitions, they're relying on their girlfriend, and that friend group becomes their friend group. And then when that relationship ends, they lose the friends. Just like in divorce and when the wife dies, right? All through the lifespan, the woman is usually responsible for the friend group. So I would challenge all the male listeners, you got to keep friends. You work on nurturing friends. You don't let people go. Reach out to people from grade school, right? From high school, from college, from work. Maintain those friendships.
And nourish them. Yeah,
and nourish them.
And I mean, I have...
Because your friend wants you to. They just don't know. I mean, they're waiting for you to call them.
Yeah. And I think it's important to reach out, It's important to take that step. And I like to believe that I'm pretty good with that. I reach out to a lot of friends that I have, and and maybe I don't see them as often. But when I do reach out, you know, try to follow up, have meaningful conversations, even if it's like people that I'm not as close to or I don't really hang out to on a general basis, it's like asking them, how you doing? Even like people, Andre, you know, I see him, I'll talk to him, hey, how's everything going? You know, maybe because of their personal situations or whatever. I think it's important. But a lot of guys don't really, I feel like don't ask that.
Yeah, but I feel like they almost feel like it makes them seem weak. And I don't know if it's a societal thing, a stereotypical thing, whatever it may be. But I think that's what it is. It's the fear of being seen as weak, you know, because now you're talking about things that men shouldn't feel. You should be stronger, rub some dirt in it, you know. But these are real things that as a human being, although maybe interpreted slightly differently, however you choose to interpret it, but we still feel, you know, and I think it should be okay to voice how we feel.
And it's amazing, you know, I am 20 years older than you guys, right? Yet we're still having the same experience being a man, even though there's been all these changes.
It's true.
We still have the same experience being a man, right? Because I know. That's how I was. You know, you rub dirt in it. You don't talk about your feelings, right? You are the stoic guy managing whatever struggle you're with on your own. Right? If you ask for help, you're seen as weak. So
I think it's changed. It has changed. I think a little bit. I think there's more light on the topic now. But I still feel that there's still hesitation. And they're still uncomfortable.
There's still the same principles, but it's better. Yeah. Right. It's better. And mental. This is like what we're doing here. We're talking about it. Mental health and different needs and relationships. Who would think a bunch of guys are sitting around on a Saturday afternoon talking about relationships? Right? So that has changed. Which is beautiful.
I think I was reading also, it starts even when you're a kid, you know, like think about how girls and how boys are being raised. A girl cries, you teach them it's okay, what's going on, talk about your feelings. But if a boy cries, it's like, well, boys don't cry.
Suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up. And I think that, like, even from an early age now, you can't even remember it. It's ingrained in you that you shouldn't show feelings. You shouldn't express it. So then 3 decades later on, you're wondering why you're struggling with being emotionally available. Well, maybe you can pinpoint that to your childhood.
And it's funny because even us, for what we're doing and how we're communicating the way that we feel, I still don't feel like a weak person.
No,
fact, I don't feel any weak, and not that I feel strong because I can voice. It doesn't make me feel like I'm less of a man. Like I feel like I can tell you how I feel, or I can just talk here in front of whoever chooses to watch and listen, say whatever it is that I feel, and I may look like weak to some people, but I know I'm not weak. I think that's the difference. I know my character. I know who I am. So I'm comfortable being able to speak about whatever I want. And if someone were to be like, oh, man, you're weak or all that stuff, it's like, and you got other problems with yourself. That's your own insecurities on yourself. Don't include that with me. I'm good. I like the fact that I'm able to speak and still feel like a strong, independent man.
Yes. Yeah. So times are changing. Times are changing.
I think it should be okay.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
But we still but the principles are still the same, right? We were all like your fathers said to you, or your parents said, get up, right? When you had fallen down, get up, right? Quit crying.
That is true.
I think the only thing we can do is when we have kids and try to kind of install in them that it's okay to be, like, if we have boys and young kids, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show your emotions. I guess that's the only thing that we can do. And of course the podcast as well. And kind of echo that message that it's okay to be vulnerable, especially for men, So.
It is. And that's how you have relationships too.
Yeah.
Right? When you're vulnerable, other people share about themselves, right? Yeah. That's relationship building. We go deeper. Women are great at it.
Right? How many children? How many children do you have?
4.
In what age groups?
13 to 18.
Did you feel like maybe, because one thing that I think about to that point, because we want to nurture our children to be a little bit different, but what's to say that when we're in that position, whatever the society, whatever's normal at that time, because we're going to have to adapt to whatever that their normal is going to be. For you, raising your children, did you ever have to kind of adapt or change? Like, what kind of methods have you used, to kind of?
Yeah, so the way that I was raised, you would make fun of a boy by calling him a girl, right? Or referencing feminine qualities, right? So I've worked on not doing that as raise. You're never putting down sons by referencing some quality of a woman in some way.
I like that's good.
So, and then I check with my daughters. I mean, I even checked in recently with my 17-year-old, even on this vacation. Like, do I do that? Or, how does that make you feel when you hear something like that from somebody else? And
I like that.
Cool.
That's so awesome.
So you just don't make those references.
And then you allow them also to like actually communicate with you. It's not, is it you like, no, or you kind of listen to them to get their perspective too, right?
We have a unique relationship with our kids.
Yeah,
I mean, we are, and maybe it's because they're being raised by a psychologist.
True.
But our kids are, I mean, we're the parents, but I believe they tell us everything. And we're the house where a lot of the friends come. And spend time with, so there's a lot of activity in our home. So, but we're just have very open relationships. We help our kids work through their stuff. I am blown away by some of the stuff that my kids tell me that they're struggling with. Because I would never tell my parents that, because I would, and I said this to my kids recently. I would be embarrassed for my parents to know that I'm not doing perfectly well, or that I'm struggling with something, or that maybe somebody thinks negatively about me. Like I had to show this perfect image of myself, right? I was ashamed to show weakness or to show a vulnerable part of me. But my kids ask me all the stuff and tell me how they're feeling, and we work through it.
That's awesome.
I love that. Sounds like they have a very trusting relationship with you.
For the most, I do yell occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, they deserve it probably.
Probably.
Still at that.
Probably. But it's fun. But it's very stressful. I just want to. It is stressful raising kids. So, And I mean, the young people need to know, like, the most stressful time of your marriage will be from when a child is 0 to 3 years of age.
I've heard of that.
Okay, that's like the highest divorce rate.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Because it's so difficult.
It's terrible twos.
It is, and there's a lot of changes that go on at home.
Yeah.
Somebody's not sleeping. They're both not sleeping. Often the guy's been replaced. Like, he used to have this amazing relationship with his wife, and now she's focused on the kid.
Kids.
Like, hey,
the competition almost.
It is sometimes. It is. And then, or she doesn't want she wants his involvement, but it's not good enough because, wait a minute, this is not what I did in my house. This is not how you raise a child. This is not how you take care of a baby, even though she wants help. There's just a lot of things that come up during that time. So very stressful. But if you can there's like the 0 to 3, the 7-year mark, and then when the kids go off to college.
7, I heard that too.
Yeah, that 7-year itch.
Yeah.
But it's really about 8 years. But I guess 7-year itch sounds better.
How you were 50 now is what you're saying?
440.
50.
How old were you when you had your first child? You were in your a little bit old?
I was 31, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, no, I was not. Yeah, 31.
31.
Okay. And then your wife was around the same age?
Same age, yeah. My wife is like 6 months older. I'm attracted. She's a MILF. I'm attracted to older women.
She's a day older than me, so she's a little a cougar. Right out
there. Okay, so 4 kids. 2 girls, 2 boys?
2 girls, 2 boys.
Is it harder to raise daughters or boys?
Guys, I mean, I guess it depends on the transition. The girls are much easier in general.
Really? Overall?
Overall. Boys are, loud and aggressive, and they destroy
so much energy.
Things. Yeah.
Running around.
But do you think that it's, what would your wife say? Because they just say like, oh, daddy's little girl or mama's boy. So do you think that maybe you're kind of swinging more for the girls because of the relationship?
I mean, they are daddy's girls too, but my sons are, I mean, they're my boys too. But I think with on the girl front, girl relationships are more complicated. Certainly, guys are, again, like everything that we're talking about, guys are simpler creatures in some areas.
Some
way. Sure. At least on the surface.
Paper.
But I mean, they all have their challenges.
I love that.
But the girls have been easier in general, and maybe that is a testament to my wife though too, where she's kind of real involved in my girls' lives.
That's awesome.
I love that. It sounds like you guys have a really good dynamic.
Yeah, it's you guys. I mean, we both work. We work hard, both of us, and I really think that is the most important ingredient. We're reliable, and we're reliable. And we both work hard.
And there's effort on both fronts.
Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up. Because something a little bit earlier that we were talking about. It's like, for example, when we're working all day and then you come home, well, who's going to take the responsibility of the children? And you had said, well, they both have to kind of put in the effort. It is.
Yes.
And one thing that I always say is I feel like effort will really get you very far in almost every situation. Yeah. Whether it's in a relationship or whatever personal accomplishment, anything that you have at the gym, whatever, as long as you try, and not give up and
try.
Try, because everyone's going to have, maybe you may fail at something, or maybe it didn't work out the way that you wanted to, but that doesn't mean it's a dead end. I mean, what did you learn out of that? And then what can come from that? So as long as we continue trying, there's effort. Maybe, for example, Christina and I will have an argument. We probably don't see something eye to eye, but we still have we understand that, hey, we're still in this together. Like, now let's put in what do we need in order to move forward? Let's put in that effort. What do you need from me? What I like from you? And it's constantly putting that effort towards each other in order for the relationship to thrive. And I feel like putting effort in anything that you do, I think that's what's going to hold. It just holds so much more weight when both people are trying.
It does. I mean, the worst thing when you're working with a couple is when one is working really hard, even if it's not perfect and they're not getting better, and the other one is not even making any effort.
That's the worst.
Right? And you guys think about even non-intimate relationships. Do you like people more that are more effortful, that work harder, that try hard?
Of course.
I mean, like, it's attractive. Even like when you're trying to get somewhere in life, right? If you're trying to get a job somewhere or a position, people notice the guy that's like putting in all the effort, right? I mean, even if he's not great at it, he's struggling, working hard. Even let's go back to sports, being a kid, right? Mm-hmm. You get to play. Mm-hmm. You get to start.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, that's
and eventually, I mean, the one who is putting the effort, hopefully, over time they start then refining, because you're at least trying. So as you're failing, that didn't work, let me continue trying to get better. Eventually you will get better with enough experience. And then that is the kid who's going to start. That is the kid that's going to be the best player on the field. And that's the partner that's going to be thriving. That's a relationship that's going to thrive.
I like that.
A relationship that's going to thrive.
Effort.
Oh man. And one of the points that I wanted to talk about, and I think we'll slowly kind of start wrapping it up, but one of the things that I've written down was sexual compatibility in a relationship.
Like 10 minutes.
We got 10 minutes?
Yep. Before what? So we're out of time.
Out of time?
Yep.
Like space?
15 minutes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So 10 minutes and then we can close.
Okay. Yeah. So sexual compatibility, so you see a lot where, a lot of men, maybe they're unsatisfied in their sexual life, or maybe at first, when you first start dating, sexual compatibility is there, but after, you have kids, you get married, you get into this kind of routine, and kind of the sex life kind of just takes a hit. What are some things that you could do as a couple to kind of overcome that on both ends, obviously for men and women? Do you have any insight on that based on your experience?
I have a lot of insight about that, right? Because this comes up all the time.
Exactly, right.
So what is often lost is people are no longer who they were when they were first together, right? You got two people that have now grown apart. They've grown apart from each other. Certainly we all evolve, right? I mean, hopefully we're a better person than we were when we were first in the relationship, right. But often there's a divide, where somebody is kind of emotionally withdrawn from the relationship, and usually you're emotionally withdrawing from the relationship because the other person is not nurturing you and loving you, not kind anymore, not giving you
effort.
Yeah, making an effort. I mean, that's all it does. It goes back. It goes back to effort. And then, it's important to remain attractive to each other, just like you were in the beginning of the relationship. And I'm not just talking about the physical part, right? It's like all those things that we do in the beginning of a relationship where we're nurturing, right? We're kind, loving, listening. I think you're amazing, right? I'm available to you.
True.
And I'm still taking care of me because I want to be the best for you. And that keeps the love alive. And when we're not doing those things, it fails. We start we're either like coming together or we're pulling apart.
That's so true, because you see a lot of times where the men complain like, like she's not sexually available, she doesn't really want to be intimate, and it's like you ask the woman and they're like, well, he doesn't help me around the house. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't want to have sex when I do everything around the house, and I gotta work, and I gotta do this, and I gotta that. He's not emotionally available towards me. I don't want to have sex when I have to carry the whole relationship. So I feel like a lot of men maybe aren't aware of that, and then so I like the fact that you brought that up, that you have to kind of nourish the relationship.
You still do. I mean, I have a little secret, right? And I'm gonna share it. Like when my wife goes out, and my kids are gonna be really bothered by this when they hear this.
Oh boy.
But I know if my wife is out with her friends, right? As long as she comes home to a clean house and kitchen, right? When she walks through the door, it's going to be a good night for her. Okay? But I mean, that's what you do in the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah.
So
so true.
you keep doing that. That meets her needs. I know that to her, one of her love languages is service, right? So she's like, oh, he did this for me. You know,
Of course I did, baby.
It's very welcome. I mean, and I don't do this is not manipulation. But I do this because I know it's going to bring her joy.
Right, of course.
And a byproduct of that is,
that's a good night for me.
But it's also you
and for her. I have to say, for her.
But it's also, I feel like part of your responsibility of being a husband. You know, like taking care of the house. You know, I think it's a two-way street.
It is. It's a two-way street.
I love that.
I mean, it's just you got to just keep nurturing and loving the relationship.
You know, I think it's funny because in most relationships they'll kind of stereotype the man as being the one that brings in the money, but then that's it. So the woman is the one that has to be doing a lot of things. So I think it's very underappreciated almost. You know, the fact that if we just go out and just do something extra that's maybe outside of what we're expected to do, it has so much more weight for them, because then they're like, you didn't even have to, but you really wanted to because you knew.
Because you were loving the other. I mean, this is loving the other person through action. And in the beginning of the relationship, you guys, right? You do that stuff.
Yeah,
Marvin, you do that. You do that, right? We do that in the beginning, so you keep it going.
I love that.
That's literally something I've talked about. Yeah, because we're doing the thing for the course. We're together, and that's literally what I have talked about. With like. You never stop dating. Don't stop dating your partner. At the beginning of a relationship, you open the door, you take them out to eat, you take care of yourself, you dress nice, you give compliments. Years down the road, you stop doing these things, and then you wonder how your relationship is not flourishing. It's because of that, and then you're just kind of echoing that whole statement, the whole mission that we're on.
It's always putting the effort in too, which I think that's one of my sections over there too.
You guys, I mean, you want your partner to think you're amazing, like they did in the beginning. So you just keep doing amazing things for each other.
You wouldn't be the best person for your partner. You were trying to be the best person when you met them.
Yeah.
So why are you stopping now that you guys are together? So
and you know, I mean, we are naturally pro-social creatures. We feel good when we do things for other people. Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. We feel. And you guys, when I turned 50 in February, my wife invited all of our family for a surprise birthday party, and my wife was like so excited during the week, even though she was giddy all week. And I know that she was having so much joy doing that for me, right? I mean, this is that altruistic behavior, and it's such a positive hit. And then, I mean, I felt so good that she even did that for me, right? We're going to be married 20 years this year, right? Wow. And we're still like surprising each other.
I love that.
I mean, that's what's important. You know, it feels good to give, and it feels so nice to feel special.
Of course,
absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah,
we're gonna have to.
Do gotta close up shop, but before we sign off, it is time to break up. Dr. D, thank you so much, man. What are you doing to me? Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. See the kind of relationship we got. Some good chemistry.
We got a good dynamic.
I like that.
So with that being said, we do need to close up, and we'd like to end on a final thoughts, right? I would love for you to kind of give whatever is very meaningful to you, something that you live by, anything you'd like to share with the world. You can say it to the camera, you can say it to us, whatever's, however you want to go about it, and then sell yourself where they can find you, and so on and so forth.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I just want to tell the listeners and the viewers out there that, you know, in order to have a successful relationship, you have to earn that, and you have to get out there and be the best person that you can be. So whatever you're struggling with, you got to make sure you work through that, so you are 100% when you're ready to settle down. Because the better you are, the better type of person you're even going to be able to be with, and the better that relationship is going to be.
True.
And you got to work your tail off. I mean, in all of life, if you want something, nobody's going to give you anything. You know, we're all responsible. You know, we may not be responsible for where we are, but we're responsible for where we're going to go. Okay? So it's up to you guys. And we all have the power. And if you don't, somebody does, and they can help you. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
And
we're all more powerful, I think, than we really allow ourselves to
Oh.
believe.
You have the control.
Yeah.
You can control your life.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, when I was in my young 20s, stuttering, I couldn't even talk. I can't believe that I'm talking in the microphone, right?
Flawlessly.
But it's from hard work, right?
Yeah.
Taking responsibility for it and getting better, right?
Absolutely.
Looking for opportunities to speak. But people can find me at drdorenzo.com and Dr. Justin Dorenzo on TikTok and Instagram. So I really appreciate
And
all
YouTube
the
as
and
well.
YouTube.
I was watching some of your videos. You got a lot.
I just
Constantly
started doing
pumping up.
I just started doing shorts, but I have all.
No, but you do have other.
I've been doing YouTube for a long time, but not
as-
working really hard at it. But
I would recommend put more effort on those shorts. Keep on
Okay.
putting those shorts because
Yeah.
YouTube is now pumping those.
You monetize on that and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll tell you more about that.
you guys are. I mean, I just want to be like you guys. I mean,
We're trying to be like you.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You guys are killing it. So
appreciate
again,
it.
it was an honor.
Well,
Really.
thank you so much for making that
Thank you,
trip. It was
Dr. Dorenzo,
great.
for
And,
real.
and we'd love to chat with you again when the book is out. Maybe
Yes.
we'll call it, maybe do like a Zoom call or something like that.
Or if you
I'll
ever come back down here.
Or if you come back.
I love Miami.
Yeah, bring the family.
Yeah.
Well,
And we do another segment and we'll talk about your book. So we're excited for that. Thank you so much for coming.
Very excited. Good job, dude.
Yeah, you
Good
like
job
that,
with this
right?
guy,
Those are
huh?
awesome.
10
Those
out of
are
10.
awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Dr. Dorenzo, thank you so much. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until next time.
See you guys.
Later.
Ciao.